Prada and the Minimalist. Luxury. Every billionaire wants. There comes a point in life when a person realizes something uncomfortable. The more they try to appear powerful, the less power they convey. And that's precisely where the paradox lies. While the world screams for attention, the truly wealthy remain silent and are heard. Prada, she built her empire by exploiting this contradiction. She doesn't sell ostentation, she sells control. She doesn't sell trends, she sells permanence. And that completely changes how luxury is perceived. Perhaps you felt this without being able to explain it. That strange feeling that the simpler someone seems, the more respect they command. It's not luck nor chance. It's language. An invisible language, understood only by those who have already moved beyond the stage of proving their worth. Minimalist luxury isn't about clothes. It's about identity, self-control, and understanding the world. And the most provocative thing? It excludes those who try too hard. Only those who understand the game get in. Throughout this content, you'll realize that Prada didn't win over billionaires through aesthetics, but through psychology. Each choice carries a silent message about power, time, and maturity. And when you begin to see this, something changes. Not only the way you dress, but the way you position yourself in life. The question is simple, and a little uncomfortable. Do you want to seem important, or to be important? Luxury that doesn't shout. Why billionaires prefer Prada. When flaunting logos, when observing the behavior of the very wealthy, one thing stands out. They don't need to announce anything. That's where Prada. While the market screams for attention with giant logos and visual excesses, Prada does the opposite. It whispers. And that whisper communicates power. Billionaires understand that true status lies not in being seen, but in being recognized only by those who know how to read the signs. It's like a silent code, almost an invisible handshake between equals. There's a subtle yet crucial difference between someone who wants to appear wealthy and someone who simply is. The former seeks external validation. The latter seeks inner comfort and coherence. Prada positions itself precisely there, in the territory of emotional control and thoughtful aesthetics. A clean blazer, a shoe without excess, a bag without an obvious signature. Everything seems simple, but nothing is naive. It's the kind of choice that says, I don't need to prove anything. And curiously, the less the piece screams, the more it costs, and the more it communicates. A practical example helps to clarify. Imagine two executives entering the same restaurant. One is wearing something flashy, with obvious brand names. The other, discreet clothes, impeccable cuts, neutral colors. The one who attracts less attention usually generates more curiosity. Prada bets on this psychological effect. It dresses those who understand that presence is worth more than appearance. And when someone realizes this, they begin to notice that aesthetic silence is only the beginning of something bigger that is coming soon. The rise of Prada. The story of the brand that began underground. Few people realize it, but this aura of quiet sophistication was born from an almost invisible beginning. At the start of the 20th century, the brand was a small shop in Milan, focused on functional, unglamorous leather goods. The turning point came when Miuccia Prada she took the helm and decided to go against everything the market called luxury. Instead of following obvious trends, she began to provoke thought. And that changed everything. Miuccia didn't want to please, she wanted to provoke thought. While other houses sought immediate beauty, she invested in intelligent estrangement, in pieces that demanded reading, time, and understanding. It was like a dense book. Not everyone understands it at first, but those who do never forget. This approach alienated the hurried public, but attracted another type of client, more reflective, more powerful, more patient. people who value ideas as much as objects, and who don't buy on impulse but based on alignment. There's a hidden practical lesson there. Brands, people, and even careers that try to please everyone end up leaving no mark on anyone. Prada did the opposite. It chose a narrow, almost uncomfortable path and built its authority there. The same thing happens with professionals who become a reference point for thinking differently, not for speaking louder. And when this pattern consolidates, something curious happens. What seems strange becomes desirable, opening space for an aesthetic revolution that no one saw coming. Nylon, minimalism, and revolution. How Prada transformed the ugly into the desirable. In a world where luxury has always been synonymous with expensive leather and visible ornamentation, the choice of nylon sounded almost like a provocation. Those who understand the game realize transforming a technical material associated with functionality and military use into an object of desire requires vision and courage. Prada did this with surgical precision. Nylon became a manifesto: lightweight, resistant, urban, discreet. It wasn't about looking beautiful. It was about being intelligent. And this aesthetic intelligence speaks directly to those who make difficult decisions every day. Minimalism, here, doesn't stem from absence, but from an excess of intention. Each clean line carries a conscious choice. Each neutral color, a refusal of noise. It's like organizing your own schedule. When you eliminate the superfluous, the essential gains strength. Many leaders apply this to their clothing to save mental energy. Fewer choices, more focus. A streamlined wardrobe, with pieces that complement each other, functions like a good system: silent, efficient, and reliable. A practical example: swapping 3 flashy bags for a well-cut black nylon piece changes the dynamics of daily life. It goes through meetings, trips, and dinners without demanding attention, but delivers presence. Ugly only seems ugly to those seeking quick applause. For those seeking longevity, it becomes a signature. And when this reasoning spreads, a shared code is born among those who prefer control to spectacle. A code that, little by little, reveals itself to be deeper than it seems. Why Prada is the secret code among billionaires. Among extremely wealthy people, there's a tacit agreement. Not drawing attention to oneself is a form of power. Prada functions as this silent language, understood by those who have already moved beyond the stage of proving their worth. It's not about fashion, it's about signaling. Those who wear it understand that true status isn't displayed. It's recognized. It's like entering a room and being heard even before speaking, a presence that precedes the word. This secret code appears in almost invisible details: an impeccable cut, the right texture, a black that isn't just any black. These are choices that say, I know exactly what I'm doing. In the daily lives of executives, investors, and discreet heirs, this saves time and energy. Fewer explanations, less noise, more focus on what matters. Clothing becomes an extension of the strategy. Simple on the outside, complex on the inside. In practice, this logic can be applied without needing $1 million closet. Prioritizing neutral pieces, durable fabrics, and cuts that don't age quickly already changes the game. A well-structured coat, clean shoes, a functional bag, everything speaks to those who observe closely. And when a person realizes that they don't need to be noticed to be respected, they begin to see clothing as a tool for silent influence. Something that becomes even clearer when they understand which items transcend time without losing value. Iconic Prada pieces that increase in value over time. Not every luxury item is made to last. Some exist only to attract attention for one season and disappear the next. Prada plays a different game. Its iconic pieces are conceived as silent assets. They transcend trends, maintain relevance, and in many cases, increase in value. The secret lies in the absence of excess. When the design is clean and the function is clear, time becomes an ally, not an enemy. Notice how certain designs remain current even years after their release. Bags with clean lines, understated colors, and durable materials continue to be desirable because they resonate with different phases of life. Today they accompany an important meeting, tomorrow a short trip, later an informal dinner. It's the logic of versatility applied to luxury. For those who think long-term, this makes all the difference. Fewer impulsive purchases, more conscious choices. In practice, it's worth adopting the criterion of real use before immediate desire. Ask yourself, will this piece still work in 5 years? Does it fit into at least 3 different contexts? If the answer is yes, the chance of regret drops drastically. This more strategic approach transforms consumption into personal curation. And when a person understands that true value lies in what lasts, they begin to see minimalism not as aesthetics, but as an emotional investment, a step that prepares the ground for something even deeper. The psychology of minimalism as a form of power. There's a psychological reason behind simpler visual choices among powerful people. Less noise, more command. Minimalism reduces peripheral decisions and frees up mental energy for what really matters. It's like organizing your desk before starting serious work. When the excess is gone, clarity is in. Leaders know this intuitively and use their attire as an extension of their focus. Clean lines and neutral colors communicate stability. They don't seek approval, don't compete for attention, and don't tire the eye. In practice, this creates a field of silent confidence around the wearer. Think of important presentations. Discreet clothing keeps attention on the message, not the messenger. This effect is cumulative. Over time, the person becomes associated with consistency, not spectacle. A simple exercise helps apply this logic to everyday life. Choose a base palette of 3 colors and build your wardrobe from there. Reduce prints, prioritize fabrics that drape well, and cuts that respect the body without exaggeration. Gradually, dressing ceases to be a distraction and becomes a tool. And when this tool starts to work, an inevitable comparison with other brands arises. And then it becomes clear why some brands are more silent than others. Prada versus other designer brands. What makes its minimalism unique? When compared to Prada, unlike other minimalist houses, the difference lies in the invisible details. While some brands focus on elegant emptiness, Prada works with silent content. Each piece carries an idea, sometimes intellectual, sometimes functional, that goes beyond clean aesthetics. It's not minimalism to relax the eye. It's minimalism to provoke thought. And that completely changes the wearer's experience. Other brands may deliver sobriety, but few manage to sustain creative tension. Prada plays with proportions, textures, techniques, and choices that seem simple only at first glance. It's like listening to minimalist music that gradually reveals layers. This type of sophistication speaks to those who appreciate nuance and reject the obvious. Not surprisingly, it attracts an audience that prefers depth to consensus, people who don't want to seem correct, but to be right. In practice, this teaches you to look beyond the surface. When choosing a piece, it's worth asking, is it just beautiful, or is it also interesting? Does it just match, or does it also provoke thought? This criterion avoids the pitfalls of generic minimalism. And when a person perceives this difference, they begin to understand why certain styles endure for decades while others fade away. An essential perception for understanding the direction luxury is taking now. The future of luxury. Why the world is moving towards the Prada style. The world is moving faster, noisier, and more saturated with stimuli. And that's precisely why luxury is starting to move in the opposite direction. The future doesn't belong to excess, but to what offers silence, functionality, and intention. In a scenario of information overload, dressing cleanly becomes almost an act of rebellion. It's the choice of those who want clarity in a confusing world, and no longer a walking showcase of fleeting trends. Textile technology, sustainability, and timeless design are no longer differentiators but requirements. Pieces that last longer, age well, and don't depend on immediate approval are gaining ground. It's like investing in solid knowledge instead of fleeting trends. In the short term, it may seem less appealing, but in the long term, it builds authority. The luxury of the future speaks to those who think in terms of decades, not seasons. In practice, this translates into more conscious choices. Buying less, choosing better, repeating without guilt. A wardrobe that functions as an intelligent system, where everything connects, is worth more than full and cluttered closets. Those who understand this begin to realize that true progress lies not in adding, but in refining. And when this logic solidifies, a curious paradox emerges. The simpler the appearance, the higher the symbolic price of that choice. The price of being simple. How Prada made minimalism. The new ultimate status. There's a paradox that only those who have matured financially and emotionally can understand. Appearing simple is expensive, and it's not just expensive in terms of money, but also in terms of repertoire, self-control, and clarity of identity. Prada understood this before everyone else. By removing excess, they raised the bar. When there are no flashy prints or visual tricks, any mistake shows up, and only very confident brands can sustain that risk. Being simple requires conviction. It requires knowing who you are without needing immediate applause. That's why Prada's minimalism isn't comfortable for everyone. It exposes, it reveals, it communicates silent mastery. It's the same principle as someone who speaks little, but when they do, they change the whole room. In this context, luxury ceases to be about appearance and becomes about inner authority, something that cannot be bought on impulse. In practice, this reasoning goes beyond fashion. It applies to decisions, relationships, career, and even how one positions oneself in the world. Cutting out excesses, making better choices, remaining silent when everyone else is shouting. Those who understand this realize that true status lies not in showing off, but in not needing to show off. And when this realization hits, something begins to reorganize itself internally, opening space for greater reflection on how to apply all of this to one's own life. The silence that changes the game. After all this, the inevitable question isn't about fashion. It's about attitude. What are you trying to prove? To whom? The minimalist luxury that Prada represents isn't an invitation to rampant consumerism, but to awareness. Less noise, less excess, less haste. More intention, more clarity, more self-control. When you apply this principle to the way you dress, it naturally begins to overflow into decisions, relationships, and life choices. Now think honestly. Where can you simplify today to gain power tomorrow? In your wardrobe, your schedule, your friendships, the way you position yourself at work. What is superfluous and draining your energy? True minimalism doesn't take away. It gives back. It gives back focus. It gives back time. It gives back respect. And the less you try to be noticed, the harder it becomes to be ignored. If this content made you reflect, then it has already served its purpose. But reflection without action is just elegant entertainment. So comment below, in what area of your life do you need to do less in order to become more? And if you want to continue learning about quiet power, the psychology of luxury, and strategies that go beyond the obvious, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The following content might be exactly the fine-tuning your game is missing.